And we are live.
Yay!
Welcome, Abi. So excited to have you here.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here.
I'm super excited to have you here because we've known each other for years, but what you've been doing, and we were just chatting about this before, what you've done over the last few years has been incredible. And I think you were one of the very first people when I started looking at doing this is to talk about, because you've had other businesses, you've had other careers, you've always been very, very successful. But this has just been incredible. So before we get all into it, tell us a little bit about you. Tell us about your family. You've got 2 gorgeous kids. Tell us about Abi.
Yeah, so I always describe myself to everybody as a mum of 2. I grew up on a council estate with not a lot of money, with 2 brothers. So I understood and felt poverty from quite a little age. Yeah. My mum taught me work hard at school, go to uni, get a good job, and life's going to be great. I did that, and I followed what my mum said, got a good job, worked up the career ladder. Then a couple of years ago, my marriage broke down. So I found myself on my own with 2 little children thinking, oh, what am I going to do?
Wow. And that must have been scary.
Really scary, especially because when you're married, you have 2 incomes coming in, don't you? And I think that was the first moment in my life when I sat down and thought, oh my God, I've got one source of income coming in. What if I can't physically, and I had a full-time job then, what if I can't go to my job? Who's going to pay my rent? Who's going to pay for my kids? And it really hit me hard. And that's when I thought, I'm going to change my life. You know, I think the biggest lie we're told is to get a job, work 9 to 5, and that's going to be fine. And it just isn't. And we've seen during COVID, a lot of people furloughed or not even furloughed, losing their job, and it just hits you. So I thought, you know what, all my life I've played by the system. I'm going to chuck the system in the bin. I'm divorcing on my own. I've got nothing to lose, have I, if it doesn't work? And I just went for it, and I decided property would be my thing. Because a lot of the world's most richest, millionaires, billionaires, they're from real estate property. So I thought, I'm going to do property because I've loved property for years. Don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it. And I thought of that day, my life really, really began.
So what was it that first sparked your interest or made you go for property? So you just mentioned about other entrepreneurs and sort of the wealthiest people. And I think when you look at it, it's literally like the top 0.00% of people that are really at that point. It is from real estate and property, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And also, I've grown up like many people, playing Monopoly, loving the idea of property and, property giving you money. And I've ever since I was little, I used to walk down the street, and my mum laughs with me now. I used to go to my mum, oh, look at that big house. I'd love to own that. And because we were in a council estate and we weren't had very much money, my mum used to go, no, sweetheart, I don't think that house is going to be for you. But I always wanted to buy houses and make them pretty, especially not the unloved houses.
Yeah. I was going to talk to you about, I've got too many questions to ask you about because things like that just excite me anyway. So, and look at the difference you can do with your kids now as how you can teach them different ways as to starting out in that entrepreneurial mindset, like from day one. So tell us about how you got involved with Touchstone and how now, because you are involved in so many parts of property, I don't even know where to start, really. There's so much you're doing.
So just before I got divorced, my husband and I at the time, my husband said to me that he felt that, I was a bit depressed. That's why we were having marital problems. And maybe it was because my career was wrong. So at the time I worked for Slimming World, and there was a friend knew these multi-millionaire property investors that were trying to set up a letting estate agency in Doncaster, and they needed somebody to run the branch as branch manager. So my husband said at the time, why don't you go for it? It's a big cut in salary, but you'll get to learn property, and maybe this is what you want, and maybe then we would be better. So I went for it, and then I suddenly found myself in this world with the multi-millionaires who have a different mindset, don't they? And learning all about property. Just
the millionaire mindset, absolutely.
Yeah. And I can remember I worked for them for 2 years until I finally did something, and they kept saying, come on, Abi, you've got all the knowledge now. They were doing Touchstone education. And I can remember the year, because I worked for them for 2 years before I did anything. And then the year before I actually started, I was on the same course as another lady, because Touchstone education teaches people how to do property. So I went on our own courses. And I was on the course. And then a year later, I saw her. She'd quit a job. She was making loads of money. She was like and I was like, I just sat there for a full year, maybe 2 years, and not done anything. So that really got me to pull my finger out. I thought, right, I'm not letting other people succeed me. I'm going to pull my finger out. And even though it's hard, because the thing that I found hard was you're always told to pay off your mortgage. And that was my mindset block, to pay off and I couldn't get my head around having all these mortgages. And, to me, that was my worst nightmare. Like, how am I going to pay them off? But I didn't realize that mortgages are good debt. And, multi-millionaires, Richard Branson have lots of mortgages. That's how they do it. So I got over that bit and just went full throttle into property after that.
Oh, I just love that. And I love the idea that you saw somebody else and that's what made you do it. And now look at what's happened. And I very recently had a very similar conversation with someone. I was like, yeah, on my goal board is to get my mortgage paid off. And she instantly said to me, no, no, you get more mortgages. That's the goal. And I was like, what? And it completely transformed my mind. And I've just got out, as we're starting to pack our stuff up and things for moving, I just got out your 2 books and I have not read them yet, but they are the first thing. They are on my to-do list this week. Because for me, I'm so inspired by what you've achieved. So some of the things that you are involved in is renovating. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that, where there was a photo on, I think it was Instagram recently, and you were sort of literally going around these houses that you didn't even know who they belonged to, and you just wanted to add some love to that. So tell me about that and how you find out about those things.
Yeah, so what I didn't realise is with property, you can buy property using other people's money. And this it still blows my mind today. So you do something, you raise private finance. And my first thought when I heard about it, I'm like, who's going to give me money to go buy a house? But there's a lot of people that have got a lot of cash in the bank. They don't know what to do with it. The bank's given them 0.05% interest. They're getting nothing from it. And so these people will lend you their money and you give them back a percentage. So I learned how to get 200, 300, £500,000 from a private investor. And then I buy houses with it. The investor gets the first charge security on the house. They know I'm not going to do a runner. I buy the house, and then with the cash, I renovate it. Once it's all done, I then get a bank to come and lend me what it's now worth. And then I pull out all the cash, pay back the investor. So I'm left with a house paying me, obviously, a passive income. I put a tenant in there. And I don't normally do a house like this unless I'm going to earn at least £400 passive a month from it. And that's after you paid your mortgage and everything.
Wow. I mean, you just said that as if that's like, I just do this thing. That is absolutely mind-blowing. So in what you're saying and the courses you offer, you can teach people who aren't sat there with 10, 50, 20, 30, whatever £1,000 sat in the bank just waiting. You've done it without that investment and shown other people how to do it. Luke's just saying that is absolutely amazing.
One of my first investors, my first investment was my mum. She got a redundancy payout. So I'm like, Mum, give me that money. And it was 80 grand. I said, give me the 80 grand. And in a year, I'll give you, I think I said, I normally do it for 6% now, but back then I was doing it for 10%. I said, I'll give you 10% back. So in a year, you'll get 88 grand back. Then I'll have done a house. And it worked with my mum. So I felt a bit more confident. And then the second person I did was my dentist. So I used to go to my dentist all the time, natter. He was seeing it. And my dentist obviously owns a dentist practice. He's doing very well as a dentist, but his problem is he's got all this money. What does he do with it? So I started doing it with my dentist. And after that, it just snowballed. And I normally get a few people a month come and ask me if, I would take their money because they know it's safe with me. Because I've written books and I'm a bit of a public figure. I'm not going to rip them off and go and run off with all their money, but they get a great return.
And do you know, I think that's a massive part of it. And I've seen some of the things you've been doing recently. I think that's huge about the trustworthy aspect, because so many people hear that these people in property are not doing like this, that, and the other. But you've got that position, you've got that public fund, you've got this backing. And the fact that you did it with your mum first is just phenomenal, because that adds that credibility, doesn't it?
It just makes you human, doesn't it?
Yeah, somebody's just asking, we will share the comments, but someone's just asking, what are your books called? Because they're wanting to order those straight away.
So for everybody that's watching this, Sarah, I'll pop a link after it's done or send you the links. Everybody can have the book for free.
Oh my gosh, that's so lovely. Thank you. Well, we'll pop the link on the comments and do that. Absolutely fabulous. So there's a couple of books, and you now with your partner Geordie do multiple things. And last year I saw you, I think it was just before lockdown, or it might have been in the middle, and you were off on some gorgeous luxury holiday, looking at property and doing all sorts there as well.
Yeah, so what I've done over the last 3 years, I've built up my property portfolio is worth about 2.6 million. Yes, wow. 75% of that is mortgage, and then 25% that is what I own in equity. But that's not the good thing. The thing I'm most proud of is I've got a £70,000 a year salary purely from property, and that's net. And that comes in, Sarah, whether I work or I don't work. If I take 5 months off, that money still comes in, because me and Gordy sat down and we said the most important thing for us is to have money without having to do things. You know, if we want to go away on holiday for like 5 months and not do anything, we still need the money. So that's what we've managed to build up. And so many people can do this through property, but just nobody tells you how. You're just not taught this, are you?
No, never. And I think one of the things, you know, we talk a lot on this on Find Your Purpose, about residual income and about being able to find multiple income streams. But we chatted just before briefly, you are just misled to think unless you have got a high income already, or you've got this big amount ready to invest, you won't be able to get involved in property. And I always shied away from it. Whereas the more I speak to people now, they're like, no, the quicker and sooner you can get involved, the better.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Watching right now, and they're thinking, oh, I didn't even know this. I didn't even realize this was a possibility. Where could they go to come on and find out about one of your workshops and the things that you do? Because you do a range of, not just your books, you run courses, you show people, not only do you invest for other people, and there's a million different ways you help people, but you show other people how they can do what you're doing.
Yeah, and I believe, coming from a single mom, coming from counselling, you know, not having any money when I was younger, I massively believe that I'd like to shout it to the whole world. I think everybody should know. And I think this is like the best kept secret that nobody knows. But people can find me on YouTube. I've got a YouTube channel called Touchstone Education, and we put free content there. We've got a website, touchstoneeducation.co.uk. There's free blogs, downloadables, books, everything you can get there. And if you want to take it further, come on one of our courses. We normally start off with a 2-day seminar, because there's so much things you can do in property. Like, you don't even have to own property to make money. You can do what we call rent to rent. Yeah, I've just literally been looking at my property. That I don't own a property in Whitby, but I manage it. I rent it, and it's called Dreamcatcher Cottage, and I rent it out to holiday makers. So I pay the landlord £695 a month, and then I make £200 to £250 a night from Booking.com, Airbnb, Expedia, and that's so easy to get in, and you literally don't need a lot of money to do that. So yeah, on the YouTube channel, on the website, we've got all of this, and then 2-day seminar, we basically show people everything you can do in property and help them create like a 12-month wealth plan for property.
And that's the thing, you know, more and more, I think people are starting to talk more about wealth management and wealth building and wealth investment, and this sense that, you know, as I talk to more and more people, things aren't clear or certain anymore, are they? There's no certainty. And this, having a job, I agree with you 100%, was the biggest lie we were ever told. As you saw in lockdown, so many people who've been in jobs all their lives suddenly left with nothing. Yeah. And yet these things, and I know when we had Ian on a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about pensions and things. And one of the biggest things he's told me to do as I move from my pension is to use that to start investing.
Yes.
Yeah. So really, you have got this huge kind of thing. And there's so many other things. I mean, I could talk to you all night about all the different aspects you do. But there's things like there was a video the other day, and I know we've had a relationship with our properties. You buy properties for people maybe in a situation where they want to get rid of a property quickly or move through. And that's something that's really, I wouldn't say frowned upon, but people think, oh, that sounds a bit off. And you just do it and bring it in with so much ease. You really are helping a plethora, is that the right word? Plethora of people? Like a lot of people in all the different things you do, aren't you?
Yeah, I get so many people contact me that want me to buy their house for them because I do buy houses. Obviously, because I've raised the cash from the private investors, I've got a lot of cash. I want to use it and buy it. And especially in lockdown, the problem is people have been told they can get mortgages. They get the decision in principle, looks okay. They then offer on somebody's house, not their fault, not knowing. And then the minute the bank find out they've been on furlough or something's not right, so many are breaking at that point, and then the poor person's ended up having to put their house back on the market. So with me, there's no mortgages, so I can quite easily come in and, you know, buy it from people. But now a lot of people think I'm buying with cash, that I'm trying to buy it really, really low or stupid, you know, it's stupid price. And it's not. I've always believed in win-win. If I'm fair with the person I'm buying from, they're going to be fair with me. And I think all business should be like that. So I would never offer, if I would be very honest with someone and say, if I would, you know, if I couldn't buy their house at what I think it would be worth for them, and I would try and help them sell it somewhere else. But I always try and meet it.
There's so many different avenues, but I think, you know, when I went through the process with yourself, which has been amazing, but so many people are like, oh, don't do that, you know, it might be this, that, and I was like, it was just so easy. And the fact that the process, like you said, without the mortgages and without everything else, and just that simple win-win, like nobody was losing out in it. And I think it's a massive part for people right now who also maybe are looking to sell their house because they can't afford their current mortgage, and the risk is it getting repossessed.
Yeah, we've dealt with a few people that have like not paid a mortgage payment in 2 and then just need to get out before it does get repossessed, and they do have problems. And we can normally push things through in about 2 to 3 weeks, you know, and that's really, really, that's really fast to buy their house. We can normally do that.
I bet people are like snapping your hands off when you're offering to do it in that time.
Yeah, it's just helping them, and we've done one recently. At the beginning of the year, we bought their house, and then we were able to put them into one of our other buy-to-let properties. You know, it was a little 2-bed cottage that they could afford and they'd be okay in. So we helped them get somewhere to live while they sorted out their credit rating. Because the problem is when you default on your mortgage or something, your credit rating gets hit, and then through no fault of your own, really, because a lot of people want to do it, they end up then with bad credit, and then they go to another letting agent, and the letting agent's going, absolutely not. You've got, you know, your credit rating's not good. So we can help people in a number of ways. It's just figuring out what's best for them.
If you've got issues with property or want to get involved in property, you need to be in touch with Abi, because there's about a million different ways. And that must feel nice when you go to bed at night, not just like, look what I'm building for me, look what I'm building my family, but look at how many people you're helping as well. And, you know, we worked together for many years in a business that was about helping people. So that's what we've always wanted to do. And I love that we've found them ways of doing it. So what kind of things throughout that time has inspired you or changed you as a person? So have you been anything to do with mindset or people that have mentored you, inspired you, anything that's sort of worked with you in that time to get where you are now?
Yeah, so I'm mentored, and I'm still mentored by Annika and Paul Smith, who are the founders of Touchstone Education, the multimillionaires that I met, and they're just phenomenal. So I have a mentoring session once a month with them. They've got my wealth plan. They're pushing me forward. And my challenge is always my mindset, because I grew up without a lot of money. I always go to, I need to scrimp and save, where, you know, I'm always pushed to, you know, push my boundaries, take that next risk, take that next step with it, and not try and cut back. And when I divorced my husband and I was sat with my 2 children, I can remember saying to Paul and Annika at the time, I said, oh my gosh, I said, I'm on my own. I've only got one form of income. I said, I'm going to have to cut back. There's no other way I can, you know, see it. And Paul and Annika said to me, do you know, Abi, I don't think you need to cut back. You need to put that brilliant mind of yours on to bringing more money in. You don't need to, you know, you could spend all your time cutting back and trying to scrimp and save, but you don't need to. Go out there and make more money. And that just pushed me to go and do it. So yeah, I think mindset's massive, and getting over that fear and doubt, because I think it's flipping scary buying houses with somebody else's cash, trying to refurb them.
How do you? And I honestly think it's incredible. And for me, 100%. Hi, Leanne. Leanne's just joined. Who's also chatted to me, who worked with us previously and has chatted about joining one of your courses. But I think I would feel like that, like, oh my gosh, like, how did you get over that? Was it nervous the first time, or is it always nerve-wracking, or have you just built into it now?
I think it gets easier, but I think once because I did so many courses, people laugh and say I've done a degree in property, but once you've got the knowledge, you know the boundaries and it going right and it going wrong. And I think I got all the knowledge, did it once, I just managed to pull it together.
I love that. So is there, apart from Paul and is it Annika?
Yes,
And
Annika.
they work with you monthly. So is it just something that you work with them, or is there any other podcasts or books you've listened to? Because I know Paul's written quite a few books as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's written books, and then I follow quite a lot of American tiers like Rich Dad Poor Dad. He's big into passive income, 7 streams. Yeah, so I've got all like any book I can get's about millionaire mindset, anything. TR Vecca I read a lot on. I do a lot of like YouTube. I've just been reading loads about Bill Gates recently and about his build of Microsoft. So anything like that, I just love learning. It just helps me realize that normal people do this, and it's not what you're taught at school. Like, it's just those that are lucky that get rich, or those that have had rich parents. It can be anybody, really.
Spot on. I totally. And Leanne's just saying she loves Rich Dad Poor Dad as well, and it is such a good. And I think what you've said from the beginning about I very much relate to that, being from that council sort of working class environment where people just like, you need to just get a job, 9 to 5, get paid, pay your bills. That's your lot. Like, take your cards that you got dealt and deal with it. And what I love is what you've created now. So you probably can't pick one thing that's your favorite out of all of it, but what is one of the best things out of all of it now? Like, what do you love about this business that you have earned and that you have built?
I love my holiday homes. I love going on holiday. I've got a number of holiday homes in the UK that I've bought, refurbed, and then I get to let people go on holiday. So that's my favourite thing. I've just done one in Bakewell. I'm just about to do one in Windermere. But yeah, that's my ultimate favourite. And I would do those all day long. That's like my passion.
Yeah, I love Bakewell, and I definitely need to book in there. And it must be so lovely to know that not only do you get to rent that out and do whatever you want with it, but then you can go and use it like in the hot tub with the kids, and you've been able to create this whole new mindset for your kids on what they're growing up with, rather than telling them that they just need to go and get a job 9 to 5. Like you were saying already, your investments is around getting the kids to be. I remember you saying on the last one that your kids it's in their mind already about investing in property.
Yeah. So Thomas is 8 at the minute. When he's 10, we're going to open a company and buy a house with him. Obviously, I will be lending the money in the deposit a little bit to him. And then Ellie, we do it with a doll's house. So she's got a doll's house, and we're training her at the minute that if a doll stays in it, she needs to pay her per month. And that's like a bit of her pocket money, to understand. Because we're taught that to trade time for money. And again, that's the worst lie you could ever be trained. You need to find something that makes money while you sleep, don't you? So you can pursue your passion. So I'm trying to train Ellie that obviously I'm making her do chores and things as well, because that's important. But, that her doll's house, so a doll gives her £1 every week, and she knows. And then she's already saying, Mummy, I think I'm going to have 10 houses when I'm older. I'm like, good.
Good, yeah. We're not going to have them all in the living room. It'll be when you actually to buy them. But yeah, we like the method that you're going down. Yeah. So what's the worst bit, or is there a worst bit that's the hardest bit, or is it kind of what you've said about sometimes that mindset and that fear in getting over that?
I think the hardest bit is getting your self-confidence up, to talk to these people, to be able to talk to a private investor to get money off them, or to be able to negotiate with a vendor what their house is and isn't worth. And I think, that was the hardest part for me, building my self-confidence, that I did know what I was doing, being able to get a refurb right and a refurb budget. And I don't tell any lies about it. Over the last 3 years, I've probably made some significant mistakes. I made a mistake last October, and it's cost me £30,000. It's turned out all right,
which is what I love.
Yeah, but you just have to go with the mistakes, and I'm trained with my mindset that a mistake's just learning, isn't it? And I won't ever make the same mistake twice, but I've got to keep growing, making mistakes to learn and keep going forward with it.
I think that's it, and I think it is the learning. I massively agree with that, and I think so many people think hide them away, and I think no, tell people so they know you're like normal and you've made them errors, and also you can then help other people avoid making them errors in the future. I saw a refurb you did recently, and a tenant was moving in. It was only this last week. And even I see lots of the things that you're doing because you are so busy. But even I was like, that is stunning. It just that must be some sense of pride and achievement at the end, knowing that you've done that.
Yeah, well, that's one of the ones I'm on about that I made the mistake with, because I went and did the refurb budget wrong. But luckily for me, house prices have grown so fast and there's a demand for bungalows that it's actually going to be all right. I'm going to be able to get all my money out, which is good. But yeah, I underestimated the refurb budget. And then when then I'd already bought it and the builder actually came in, he was like, ooh. So I don't know what I'm going to do for this.
But I love that. And I think that's part of any business. And, I think that's the difference between the people that succeed and the people don't. It's the times you get back up. And I've said this a number of times. So many people go, yeah, but you didn't have the problems I had, or you didn't have the situation, or I did this. And you think that's just part of life. If the people who succeed are the ones that go, yeah, that's really annoying and that's really frustrating, but then they get straight back up and get on with it again. So I just think that's the key to it. And the fact that you then share it is probably why your audience and building your profile is so big now, and so many people, like you were saying on YouTube, there's like 22,000 followers. And I've just subscribed to that this morning because I didn't even know it was there, but already I've been hooked on watching the videos, like on what you're teaching people for free at that point.
Yeah.
No, you're just giving content away and sharing what they can do, which is just amazing. So, have you got anything else that you want to share with people, or anything that you think, I just want people to know that this is possible for anybody?
The biggest thing for me and the biggest learning for me was staying away from those negative people. And I had it quite hard because I had quite a negative family. And when I said I wanted to get into property, they were very like, what you're doing, you're newly divorced with 2 kids, just keep your head down at work, don't bother getting into property. Then when I was showing them, and like at my Bakewell house that I've just done, I can remember my brother coming, he's like, you're not going to have this done in time. What have you bought? And there's no negative people. So I've learned to tune out negativity and what other people think, and it doesn't really matter to me. Like I get trolled quite a lot because people don't like that I'm telling people, to not pay off their mortgage. Yeah, I get quite a lot. Like, don't pay off your mortgage. Don't, stick to your 9-to-5 job. Come and find entrepreneurship, passive income. People don't like that. So I know somebody's told me that I'm just a council estate rat or something. I'm like, well, I'm doing very well for a council estate rat.
I can't believe that. And we've talked a little bit over the last few weeks about those people who told. One, I think it's disgusting. I can't believe it. But how did you deal with that the first couple of times then that you had? Why are people like that?
Oh, it really upset me the first few times, like really upset me. But then I thought, what, their opinion doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is I'm getting the message out there and helping other people, to come along and to do property and to cement their future and get their pension sorted and get their income sorted so they can. And I can remember speaking to Annika and Paul saying, I'm so upset. And Annika and Paul said, what have you been able to do this last year with property? I was like, well, I've not had to save up for Christmas. I can just book and go on holiday like that. Like normal things don't apply. Like during COVID, I went abroad twice and I had the money to do it.
I saw it. I was very jealous, I bet.
Yeah. Annika and Paul said, well, concentrate on that and just get rid of these negative people because they're not good for your mind. You keep smiling, keep doing. And you never know. One day I might even convince the negative people or the trolls to come and have a little look.
I absolutely agree. And I think one of the things I believe very strongly is choose your tribe, choose the people around you. And those 5 people that you're around, if they're positive and uplifting and supporting and want you to succeed. But I also believe very strongly, like you said about Annika and Paul, it's people who are going to push you out of your comfort zone. If you're sat there thinking, oh, I wish they'd just stop telling me to do something, like in a good way, push me forward, they're the people you want to be around because they're the people who are going to make you into a better person, who are going to push you forward. Leanne's just saying she's going to rewatch, but how does she get started?
I think Leanne's done the right thing to come to the 2-day seminar because you're going to see all the strategies, what you can and can't do, pros and cons of everything, because there's always an upside, there's always a downside. So you're going to be able to see all of that, and then you're going to be able to realise where you start because different people start in different areas.
Yeah, that's what you were saying to me before, that actually there's so many different ways to do it and get involved that 2-day one shows you everything. So I think me and Leanne should come on that together.
Yes, we'd love to have you.
Yeah, that we can get started with it, because how long have we been those annoying people that have said, yeah, we're going to come and do it, we're going to come, and we've not quite got there. So Leanne, are we on it? Are we going to go for it?
Yes.
We'll on that next one. I've absolutely loved, yes, I'm saying yes, we'll do it together. That'll make sure we don't put each other off coming along. And I think it's just knowing, for me, what you've said tonight, so many things have blown my mind, but some of that stuff about not having to have the money in the first place, the stereotypes that we're breaking, that you're breaking, and the fact that people, you can make money from, I think you said it in one saying, it was like, you can make money from property without using your own money.
Yes.
Like, that's, if you don't want to sign up on a course to find out about that, I don't know what's wrong with you. Yeah, so absolutely love tonight. Thank you so much for I've got my ticket. She says she's ready to book.
Just on. Not booked on.
Yeah, she's going to do that now. We're going to do it tonight.
Yay.
So thank you so much, Abi, for tonight. And yeah, we'll put all your links in the comments below. So your website, your YouTube and Insta, so people can follow you more and find out how to get more involved. I've absolutely loved it. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Take care.
See you soon. All right, bye-bye.
Bye.